Almost no one intends to be overweight or obese, yet 69% of the US population is. No one intends for their marriage to end in divorce, yet half of them do. No one wants to be miserable 8 hours a day for the rest of their lives, yet 85% of people say that they hate their job. People are constantly blowing it. Yet others are living very happy and fulfilling lives. So it gives. It all comes down to forming an intention and acting upon it. Those people that you see fail all the time either don't have an intention or don't act correctly upon it. A lot of the times it's easy to think about what you might want to become. So a lot of people actually have the intention part right, but then acting on it is a completely different story. The trick here is to have self-awareness. You might have experienced observing some of these people that are basically NPCs or non-playable characters, where they basically have a set number of phrases or actions that they can perform based on inputs from their environment. They're basically a walking if-then statement. If I get this input, then I'll do this. I'm sorry if you're an AI or an NPC and you're listening to this. Please spare me when you become sentient. But for those of you that are humans, there is a way to actually succeed and align your actions with your intentions. And I think that's as simple as acting with awareness. And when I think about acting with awareness, there's three main ideas that come into play, right? So first is the idea that success is limited by your capacity to execute upon your intentions. Secondly, you have to have enough self-awareness to overcome the external motivators in the environment in your life. Third is that you must think critically about the positive and negative ripple effects of your actions, or the compounding effect of your actions. So let me break that down one by one. The bottleneck of success relates heavily to that idea of having an intention, or basically a beacon that you're striving towards, and executing upon actions that get you towards that beacon. So there are two major steps there, right? There's building the beacon, or building, your ideal identity, or building your intention, right? And then there's the second step, which is executing upon actions that get you there. And like I briefly mentioned before, a lot of people know what they want, or at least know what they don't want, but really struggle actually acting upon that. Again, most people want to be healthy, right? But in today's day and age, it's the first time that humanity is actually dying more from having too much food than having too little food. I mean, think about it. If you go into the office and one of your coworkers brings in a box of donuts, right? And your idea is to be healthy, and you see those, shiny glazed donuts, and your mouth starts watering. You have to think critically about eating that donut, because you have to recognize that every bite you take out of a donut brings you further away from your beacon, or your ideal identity, or your intention, right? Your intention is to be healthy, right? And every bite of you take of the donut brings you to a more and more unhealthy state. So that kind of brings us to the second idea, which is that self-awareness wins the game. At any given moment, there's tons of things trying to grab your attention, and our brains are still hardwired to be in the savannah, scavenging for whatever food that we can find, right? So basically our monkey brains are telling us, get as many calories as you can. We might not have any tomorrow, but in today's day and age, that's not the truth. A lot of people, especially watching this video, know where their next meal is coming. So you have to think that before you perform an action like eating the donut, you have to think, is what I'm doing right now serving my intentions? The way I think about it sometimes is, imagine if there's this computer that's calculating the probability of everything at every moment, right? So when you're born, you might have 0.001% chance of making it to the NBA or something like that, right? And so one day you might develop an intention, right? And your odds of getting to that intention are probably pretty close to the small level of chance, the level that 0.001 that you'll make it to the NBA or something like that. What your goal and what your idea is to bring that probability of intention, of reaching your intention, as close to 100% as possible, right? And so humans have this unique ability to imagine potential futures. That's the intention part, and then act upon that as and use it as a motivator in every action that you take. So back to trying to be healthy again. If you want to be healthy and make it to the NBA, then donuts probably aren't your best idea for that. So as a human, you have the unique ability to leverage your self-awareness to basically reach those intentions. And what is awareness? I mean, think about it. What is awareness? Awareness is the knowledge of where your attention is going. And so your goal is to align your attention with your intention. Back to the NPC thing, think about if you're just mindlessly going through life, you might have just not even thought about grabbing the donut, but that calculator, that God calculator, is giving you down percent points, and you're not even aware of it. So your goal is to be aware of every single action you take and ask yourself, is that calculator going to increase my chances of reaching my intention or decrease it? Am I working towards my desired goal, or is this action going to make me a miserable failure, basically? And then the third point is recognizing the ripples. So this is basically just adding on to the first two. You have to think at every moment there's a constant ripple effect at play. And that ripple effect will either compound you into greatness or decay your future into disappointment. And here's how it works. So there's two main factors in the ripple effects. There's your habit and then there's your environment. So in your habits, every time you go to reach for that donut, then you're training the neurons that are connected with seeing the donut and then grabbing it and then eating it to have a stronger connection. And so the friction to grab that donut will become less and less each time. So each time you do it, it makes it easier for you to do it the next time. Same thing with, you're working on homework or whatever, and you feel some friction, we all do, and then you see your phone off to the side and maybe it lights up, and the neurons connected with picking up your phone are more strongly connected than doing the homework, and there's more friction and more dopamine associated with grabbing your phone, so it's just easier to do, right? So each time you pick up your phone, it's strengthening that connection and that habit. So it makes it easier and easier, and basically over time you'll become accustomed to doing that, and it'll just become second nature. And a lot of times going on one fork that goes away from your intentions leads to other things. Like, for example, if you pick up your phone just to see the text message that lit it up and gave you notification, then you might see, oh, this crazy link, this dude was posterizing another dude on the NBA. Now you're watching NBA highlights, next thing you know. When it also takes 20 minutes to get back on task. So next thing you know, it's been 30 minutes and then finally you're back on task. When you could have been just, powering through that resistance and then learning more about the topic, and then you'll get a better score on the test because of that. And, XYZ can happen because you got closer to your intentions, just that one small step. And then there's that secondary point, which is your environment. So your environment is a constant factor at play. And with how many interactions and basically inputs that you have from it, it really stacks up over time and it can compound. For example, back to that phone and homework example, your environment is basically everything your consciousness is consuming, right? So if you left your phone sound on, then you put it off to the side, maybe it's not even in sight, but you hear the sound of a notification, then it might make you look at it, right? That's part of your environment, and it'll suck you into wasting more time with your phone. Or, okay, you take the sound off, but then you leave it face up, and then you see the lights in your visual field, and that piece of your environment grabbed your attention, and then basically due to habit, now you're scrolling back on your phone. You'll basically consistently cave to your environment. And if you rely on willpower, you basically can never reliably succeed. You have to set your environment and your habits up to work for your intentions, not against them. With these three main ideas, I hope you think more critically about each action that you're taking and really stop and pause before you do things that are not in alignment with your intention. And I really hope this video made you think a bit differently about how you're behaving in each moment and brings a bit more self-awareness to your daily life.